Good morning, mathematicians. Final day of our week 17, and we are going to get started with number one. Find the number that each expression equals, right? So notice that all of these are considering 1/8 or an eighth of what number? Of 32. So the first thing that I think about is, okay, well, what is 32 divided by 8? Well, 32 divided by 8 is 4. So because of that, I know that 1/8 of 32 equals 4. I can use this fact to answer all the others, right? So 1/8 of 32, we've already said, is 4. So if I actually have three of those, because I have 3/8, 3 times 4 is 12. What about if I have 5 of those? Because I have 5/8, right? Well, 5 times 4 equals 20. And last but not least, what if I have 7 of those? 7 times 4 equals 28. And that finishes out that number one. Let's go to a question about volume. This says, Chef Pasta La Vista is making lasagna trays with a square base measuring 12 by 15 centimeters. The height of the trays range between 27 and 38 centimeters. What is the smallest and the largest volumes for the trays? Explain or show your reasoning. Well, notice what I've gone ahead and listed. The dimensions that they have in common are 12 by 15 because the base, the area of the base, the length and the width is 12 times 15, right? What is different is the height. So we're going to have a different number for height here. That would be the smallest it can be, and a different height here for the largest it can be. So because of that, I want to go ahead and answer this fact first because both of them use this idea of 12 times 15. I can actually use some knowledge I have from some basic facts to get me started on this because I know my 12 times 12. That was one of those memorized facts. We know that 12 times 12 is 144, right? I'm going to slide my camera over slightly. There we go. 12 times 12 is 144, but I actually have three more than 12, right? So this 3 plus 12 would give me my 15, but I need to multiply that by 12 as well. Well, 3 times 12, of course, is 36. And now if I add those together, I know the area of the base. 144 plus 36 is 180. So I know here at this moment that 12 times 15 is 180, right? The next thing that I need to play with is difference in height. So the smallest tray is going to have the smallest height, and the smallest it can be is 27 centimeters, right? The largest it can be is 38 centimeters. So what I need to do here to find that overall volume is I need to multiply the area of the base, the 180, times the 27. And I need to multiply here that 180 times the height of 38 centimeters. Once I have my answers to those, I will have the answer to the question because it says, what are the smallest and the largest volumes for the trays? It's not asking for the difference between those. It actually wants us to report the smallest and the largest, right? So, through your chosen strategy, go ahead and multiply 180 times 27 and 180 times 38. Pause the video and resume to see if we get the same answer. Okay, 180. I just did my one, I actually did 18 times 27 and I got my answer of 486. And then look, I remembered that this was actually 10 times bigger, so I added a zero. Okay, 1, 2, 3, comma. This is the area of the very smallest tray, okay, in centimeters. But we'll report that over here in words in just a moment. Then I did my 180, but really I just did 18 times 38. When I did 18 times 38, I got 684. And then I remembered that it was really 10 times bigger, so I brought down a zero. 1, 2, 3, comma, and this is the largest. Now notice the format that this actually wants our answer in. It does want us to report the smallest and the largest volumes, and then it wants us to or show our reasoning. So I'm going to write that the smallest equals, I'm going to write the dimensions 12 times 15 times 27, which equals 4,860, and I'm going to write centimeters, right? And those centimeters are what? Because it's volume, they are cubed. Now I'm going to write about the largest. The largest is 12 times 15 times 38. Draw a line here. There we go, which equals 6,840, and those are centimeters cubed. Now, this is going to suffice for showing my reasoning because I literally showed the dimensions that I utilized and what they equal multiplied together, and I gave my complete answer with centimeters cubed. Plus, I got a lot of great work over here. Never erase this stuff. This is the good stuff that shows us, almost like an x-ray, what was going on in your brain that led you to the answer. Let's go to our question 4. This one says, furry friend, the vet, needs to vaccinate 35 cats, and each vaccination kit costs $812. How much will furry friend spend on all the vaccination kits? We are going to do some multiplication to get us to our answer. I'm going to start with my 5. I'm ignoring my 3, not paying any attention to it, because right now I'm doing 812 times 5. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. Here's my 0, carry my 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And 5 times 8 is 40. Now, was this a magic 0, a golden 0, a placeholder 0? No, it was an answer to a basic fact. This is the moment where I'm actually going to put down a placeholder 0, and I'm doing that because the 3 is really in the tens place, so I want my answer to start in the tens place, right? 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 8 is 24. And I'm going to add these together. 0 plus 0 is 0, 6 plus 6 is 12, 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, and a 2. 1, 2, 3, comma. So our answer to this question is 28,420. We remember now that that is actually representing dollars. Wow, that's a lot of money to vaccinate all of those 35 cats. All right, our last question for today, and boy, it's a good one. This one says, Dr. Pepperoni made 8 pizzas in July, which is 1/4 of what he made in June. Together, his June and July pizzas add up to 5/9 of the total pizzas he plans to make this year. How many pizzas does he plan to make this year? Well, what I want us to think about is let's almost write this out and let's think about this by month, June and July, and then we're going to think about the yearly amount of pizzas he wants to make. The only one that is recorded directly as a number is the 8. So the 8 represents how many he had in July, right? I'm going to put an 8 here. Now, that was 1/4 of what he made in June. Well, if this 8 is 1/4, I really need to do 8 times 4 to figure out how many he had in June. And how many he had in June, therefore, is 32. Because this is 8 times 4. That's how I figured the amount for June. Well, together, that's 40 pizzas, right? I need this number to figure my yearly because it says together his June and July pizzas add up to 5/9 of the total pizzas he plans to make this year. So I know I need to take my 40 and I need to divide it because that is a portion, particularly that is 5/9 of how many he plans to make this year. Now I'm going to use this to come up with my equation that I can use. I know I need to take my 40 times 9, and then I'm going to need to divide it by 4, excuse me, by 5 by my numerator. So let me say this again. I have my 40 times 9. That's going to be my numerator, the top. And I'm going to be dividing that number by 5. And this is going to help me figure what I need to know. Well, I know that I'm going to come down right over here. I know that 4 times 9 is 36, and then there's an extra 0, right? I need to take 360 and I need to divide it by 5 to get to my overall answer, right? That is the way that we are going to figure how many pieces he needs all year long. Now, I'm out of room. I'm going to come over here and use a post-it note. Really, what I'm figuring is this. If we have 360, okay, and we need to divide that into groups of 5, what can I do here to get myself started? Well, the first thing I can do is I can take 70 groups of 5, right? 7 times 5 is what? It is 35. And then there's that extra 0. I subtract and I get a difference of 10. Now I got a basic fact. 5 goes into 10 2 times, and that uses up all of this with no remainder. So my answer here is 72. So I know that 360 divided by 5 equals whole number 72. Now that we have that, what does that mean related back to the problem? It means the number of pieces he plans to make this year. So we're going to write that out. It is 72 what? It is 72 pizzas. And that finishes out our Thursday column.